All right, being 5:15, we call the finance personnel meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It says been noted. Motion or any changes or additions to the agenda?
I have none.
Motion made by Mike, seconded by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Need approval of the September 10th finance meeting.
Move to approve the minutes of the Finance Personnel Committee on September 10th. Second.
Motion been made by John, seconded by Bob. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment? All right, purchase land south of the police department. Chad?
All right, so in your packet, I provided a memo with information of what we're talking about. So south of the police department, there's a retaining wall. Here, you can see that the retaining wall is a block wall. It's deteriorating, it's kind of falling apart. We had the same situation on the west side of the building too. What we did several years ago is we actually poured a concrete wall back there, so we didn't have to worry about the block wall falling apart anymore. We'd like to consider doing the same thing here, doing a poured wall instead of the brick wall that keeps on falling apart. The benefit of that is less maintenance and just to kind of be done with it. One of the situations when we talked about doing that is that, I'll bring over the GIS real quick. And this line is slightly off. This line should be a little bit farther north because the property line is basically right on the wall. So you can see that if this property line was on the wall, it does, for whatever reason, jet out to the south a little bit. So we do have some more area here, but it does jet out to it does go right across the wall line here. Like I said, one of the situations is tight for the police department to come in and out here. Ideally, we've heard that it'd be nicer to have a little bit more room because when they're turning in and out, they're actually going right on the edge of this wall. And you kind of see that it's actually getting a little alligator cracking and just sinking in right here. So ideally, it'd be nice to kind of get some more real estate over here, just kind of give us enough room to dig to the south, pour the footing or put the footings in, for pouring a wall in the future. But then also kind of extending this out 3-4 feet or something to give the officers a little bit more turning room into the garage there. We did contact the owner that owns the property. I'll bring back the GIS here quick. It's kind of a flag lot. It's not the property owner right on the corner. It's the second property owner that owns it, and it kind of is his garage and driveway spits out just between the police department and this house here. We contacted that property owner. He was receptive in selling a little bit of the property here. He's looking at selling that property and this property in several months. He said by the end of this year. So we do have an opportunity to purchase that land. I'm thinking we have a better opportunity now just because a new buyer of this property might not be as receptive to selling us that land. So I did talk to him, started off with an offer to purchase 7 feet, that if we would extend the eastern line, the eastern corner 7 feet, and draw a line straight across, get rid of this kind of archy thing going on here, the new area would be about 675 square feet. So talked to him, talking about making him offer. I started with preliminary offer of $6.50 a square foot. Where I got that from was when we did the downtown project, we had to buy small areas of land for additional sidewalk areas for the downtown project. And $6 a square foot was the DOT's price point at that point in time. So that was my starting point. That was a year and some ago. Made him an offer at $6.50 a square foot, just with inflation. That comes out to about $4,387.50. That owner considered it. A week later, he came back and he countered at $8 a square foot, which his offer would be $5,400. I kind of thought about countering at $7 a square foot, but I mean, it's only 650 square feet. If I counter at $7 a square foot, we're talking $675, So at this point, I think it's pretty important, or we have an opportunity to purchase that property over the next owner. So I guess I'm kind of bringing it up to the committee right now to go along with his offer of $5,400 for that $675 square feet for that property. My proposal would be to finance that out of the economic development operating budget. We do have a land acquisition line item in that budget. I don't intend on using that for anything by the end of this year. So that's an opportunity that we could use that funding to purchase that. So I guess that'd be my recommendation, to consider that offer to move forward with purchasing 675 square feet at $5,400. Any questions?
Does this need to also go to the Economic Development Committee for that?
No, I mean, this is an operating budget.
Okay.
The council has approved the operating budget, which department heads and staff
Okay.
can manage that. If this was something out of the reserve budget or the
Then okay.
designated fund balance, yes.
Okay.
I'll make that motion to purchase the land from the police department along the retaining wall.
Second.
Price of $5,400. Second.
Motion's been made by Bob, seconded by Tim. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Ambulance service agreement, Old Cross. Chad?
In your packet is the annual ambulance service agreement. Every year we bring this back for review and approval to stay in the consortium. Pretty much all the details are the same. I'm going to jump down to the last page where it talks about the pricing of everything. So you can see, first of all, I'll kind of remind the committee and the council that we are in a consortium. All the municipalities that you see right here on this listing are in the consortium. That's nearly 60,000 people in those municipalities are in the consortium. Every year, the Gold Cross Ambulance Service comes back with a subsidy amount to stay in the consortium. Last year, the subsidy was $13.46 per capita. This year, they're proposing that the subsidy would be $13.72 per capita, a 26-cent increase, which is very reasonable. Number one, because just with inflation the way it is, but number two, this year, which is a huge benefit, they're talking about putting a 5th ambulance into the consortium. Currently, we have 4 ambulances that are in this consortium that service this area. One of the challenges with that is anytime there is a in-facility transfer, and what that means is, say someone's at Beta Care in New London and needs to go to a hospital in the Fox Valley, they sometimes have to use an ambulance service, and they pull an ambulance off a call to transport those people. And it sounds like over time, that has become more and more of an issue, whether it's our hospital here or a clinic in Clintonville, or not Clintonville, but the hospital in Wapaka or down in Wyaweka. Taking an ambulance off of the route just for interfacility transfers does take that ambulance off of the route for emergencies, which is not ideal. So they have found a way to get a 5th ambulance service for a very extremely reasonable rate of $26 per capita. I think they talked about last year, if they did it, it was a lot more money, like $15, $20 per capita, just to add another ambulance. Two of the benefits that they've gotten from that is because the interfacility transfers are getting to a point that they're capturing enough revenue for insurance going back and forth, that's helped. But number two, the state of Wisconsin just came out with this Wisconsin Medicaid Ground Emergency Medical Transportation Upper Payment Limit Program. And one of the challenges that EMS providers have had in the past is that for Medicaid, there's a cap. And that Medicaid payment that's come from the federal government has not been anywhere close to covering the actual cost of service. So Wisconsin has come through with a new program to subsidize the gap in between what Medicaid is paying for reimbursements and the actual cost of service. Because of that subsidy, that's helping us because we don't have to subsidize that gap anymore with our per capita subsidy. So couple things that have been going along in Gold Cross Ambulance, but they are proposing a 26 cents increase and providing a 5th ambulance in the consortium. And what we would need to do is make a recommendation to send this to council to have the mayor sign the agreement to stay in the consortium for 2026. Any questions?
I'll move to accept.
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Mike, seconded by Tim. To go with the ambulance or to present to council the ambulance service agreement, Gold Cross. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Finance director monthly financial reports. Judy?
All right, so, when we're looking at our reports tonight, maybe not.
Someone turn it off? Maybe.
Battery was going dead yesterday.
Thank you. So when we're looking at the reports tonight, these run through August 31st, 2025. And get this one that has more detail. So our percentage when looking at 8 months divided by 12, about 67% would be average. So you can see that most of these are running a little bit below that. Recreation is running a little higher, but a lot of times in recreation, their salaries or their wages are paid out during the summer months. So you'll see that flip a little higher after the summer months and then come back down. Everything else seems to be running. We have insurance, and again, that will go over 100% and then come back down once we get our dividend at the end of the year. Our equipment replacement, it looks like this because we budget 250, but we actually use some reserve funds, so I bring them in at the end of the year. Social services is all paid for the year. Capital projects, again, we use reserve funds for. And then you can see our equipment maintenance is actually coming, lower than last year. But we were at 130 and we moved that up to 145. So actually for 2026, I used the same dollar looking at the history. I only have 1 year, but I'm assuming that right now that's going to be enough to get us through the year. So at this point, I don't expect any of these to run over budget on the expenditure side. Anyone have any questions on any of those? All right. And then on the revenue side, again, revenues are collected at specific times throughout the year, so doesn't really make sense as far as the percentage is concerned. Some of them do, but most of them are specific times. So property tax, we have collected in full. Anything that's delinquent in property taxes is now on the shoulders of the county. So they pay us in full, and then they have to go after the homeowners that have delinquencies. And we have all the state statutes that say the county can go after them when they're delinquent. So that's how that works. Special assessments, although it looks like a huge dollar amount, actually, we do have deferred specials, so we can't really budget for them because we don't know they're coming in. That's an extra $7,000. Shared revenue, we get this much of it in July, and then we receive the rest of that in November. So you'll see the $2.1 million come in, the lion's share of that comes in at the end of the year. Highway aids come in quarterly. Library aids, they come in twice a year, I believe. Grants and donations, a lot of times this is our police department getting additional dollars for, they get it through both Outagamie and Wapaka County for, traffic, like, OWIs, heroin, and all kinds of, small grants that they receive for the help, that our department gives through the county. So those again are very difficult to budget for, and we're talking $11,000. So we're just about at our 130,500 for interest, so I'd expect that possibly to be at 100% next month. I could have booked this $100,000. Actually, we took that in last month, so that you'll see that booked in full next month. And the sewage contribution, these I do at the end of the year. But otherwise, it's looking pretty healthy, or it is looking healthy, and I would anticipate us to collect at 100% on all line items for the end of 2025. Any questions on any of those? All right, then we have our assigned and unassigned fund balance. I don't know, I could explain back to that.
Yeah. Hold on.
Because it doesn't like me. Assigned and unassigned fund balance, and there are no changes. Usually if I make a change, it's within the downtown from month to month because we paid out for a grant or a downtown facade, but I think those are paid in full now for the year. So probably won't have any more of those until next year. But otherwise, there is no change. A lot of these changes happen in February when I'm doing my estimates, and then we look at how we're going to assign, and then any expenditures within the actual assigned fund balance, and we'll make our adjustments at that time. One of the things I'll point out is we do have the revaluation reserve, so I think we're going into that next year, correct, Chad? That next year, so we do have some dollars put aside for that project for next year. All right, then wheel tax. We've taken in 84,474 this year, spent out on House Alcon Engineering, 69,168. We do expect some dollars to be spent on North Street. So currently our balance in there, so we're under spending at this point at 15,000, and then the reserve in there at 183,643. And then a list of all of the projects that have been done through the wheel tax dollars. And then we still have 3 bonding projects with our 23 bonding. I did send over an email to Robert and kind of just asked where we're at with these 2 projects that he is in charge of, the House Alcon Liberty and the HVAC, just so I get an idea of, and make sure that those projects are moving along, that we're spending our dollars and the 2-year cycle of which we should be. And then I will look for direction and bring the library donation forward eventually when the library requests it. And then I have my monthly report. So as many of you know, this month I spend most of my time on the 2026 budget. So a lion's share of my time between September and when I present in October, I'm looking at estimates, bringing in, all the department heads' requests, where is the state at with funding, all of those kinds of things, and then bringing it all together for presentation. And I meet with the department heads. We have a lot of discussion about where we're at and where things are going within our budget. I attended the Public Works meeting for the update on the plan upgrade, and again, all that. I spend time with them on financial information, supplying information. In fact, I just made a call or an email over to our auditors. We will be working through a user rate study between ourselves and the engineers. And the upgrade to make sure that those user fees are gonna be adequate to take care of the big project, the large project that we are working on at our wastewater treatment plant. I attended the CIMIC Finance and the CIMIC Board meeting. Actually reviewing their budget for 2026. We finalized, as many of you know, we finalized our health insurance plan and information. So it's been, Nikki and I worked on employee meetings and network health to educate on the 2 deductible plan for 25. And then Nikki spent a lot of time working on the enrollment process. That's always a big process. So at least now we'll be back to the 1/1/27 renewal. So this will be an 18 month. So you can anticipate us probably coming in November, October, November at the latest next year, with what that plan will look like for 2027.
Judy, how did that transition go for the employees?
I did not hear anything, to be honest. I thought you did a great job. They also did a great job at Network Health and our consultants talking to the employees about what that transition was going to look like. But so far, so good. We do have Jeff over at USI. If we have any issues or concerns, they're willing to take employees on one-on-one and kind of hold their hand through the process if they're having problems with deductibles or anything of that nature. So that's really nice for us, takes that stress away from us within the office. Plus it's health insurance. So there's a lot of things we can't know or we can't work with. So they're really good at allowing us to just send the employees straight to them and taking us as the middleman out. So we're not trying to work through all of that at the same time. So I believe so far, if you've heard any different from any of the employees, they, come and talk to us because I feel like so far I haven't heard anything negative about the transition.
Wonderful. I know when we switched last time, it seemed like there was a little bit of a struggle and some confusion and stuff. And,
Yeah.
during the presentation, it sounded like we should have a pretty good rollover, easy turnover kind of concept. So I was just curious. Thank you.
Yep. So far, so good. I have the budget hearing on here set for October 22nd. We want to talk about that a little bit. So the mayor currently has a commitment. And this isn't, well, he sent me the email. He did not request that I change the meeting, but some other individuals have also come to me, and there's other meetings going on actually that evening. I know Chad would like to attend a planning commission meeting
There's a
that evening also.
Town of Muckwa Plan Commission meeting. We can talk about that a bit later, but I think I sent you guys an email on that.
But what I am wondering is we have everyone here except Charlene. So is it possible that we meet for that public or that budget? It's not the hearing, it's just a budget workshop. Can we meet prior to the council meeting the night before? Would that work and open it up, Mr. Mayor and Chad? Would that work where we could get, now to get a 3/4, remember, vote for that to move forward. So, and I just like everyone to participate if we're able. So I can probably get another department head or two also, who's also busy that night. So I guess if it works for everyone, then we'll start advertising that it's that night versus the Wednesday night. So it'd be Tuesday, October 21st.
And one thing we talked about is in the past, we've done general fund, bonding,
Yes.
wheel tax, and the sewer fund. What we could do is, to simplify it a little bit, we could actually do the sewer fund with the Sewer Utility Commission, Board of Public Works at the tail end of the Board of Public Works meeting on November 3rd. Because we've got the Board of Public Works there already. So
Everybody's
hypothetically,
there, right?
yeah, we could do that single budget on November 3rd, but then the other 3 general fund, that and the wheel tax on the 21st at 5:15, and then just roll in the council meeting at 6:30.
So because the difference is that the general fund, you are setting the tax levy. You are moving forward with dollars. The budget for the wastewater treatment plant is just that. It's a budget. It doesn't mean that they're all estimates. So let's say you've decided to increase the sewer rate fee, so I put that dollar amount in there. It doesn't mean that the change in the sewer rate fees 2 weeks later makes us have to go back and redo the budget. It's just a guide for the year, so I would internally make those adjustments. Different with the general fund, because we are setting a tax levy and moving forward with that. If we had changes within that, that would be a completely new presentation and then a discussion on what that looks like. So we're able to, Chad suggested, move that to the end of the Department of Public Works Committee meeting.
What time do you
Sorry,
wanna,
John.
what time do you wanna meet on that? 5:15 then, on Tuesday, before the meeting?
Correct. So it would be the debt service and the general fund. The TIDs now, I do those separately. So because we have so many of them and becomes that, just becoming a bigger discussion also, not, anything that we have to set a tax levy for, that set within the general fund or within the general fund, and those dollars flow through into the TID district. So I do them, I think I did it a couple months ago, and I'm able to just drill down on a little more detail with those TID districts. I think it's important. Chad, puts all the pictures up and we can go through that in a separate time. So debt service and general fund, and probably just sometimes I go through real
Real
tax.
tax.
So,
Do you need a motion?
no, I think just a
Consensus.
general consensus, and then, I'll put it in the minutes so that can be read, and then we'll put it on Facebook so everybody knows. We'll just get the new date out there so that the public knows that that's what it is.
And again, that's not the hearing, that's just the workshop. The
Correct.
hearing will be
The-
at the November
Council.
council meeting.
Yep. So again, those will be advertised and talked about and put out there, that so people know that that's the actual hearing. That's when the tax levy is adopted on that night in November at council. Makes sense? Okay, then I'm gonna switch it, if that works for everyone, over to Tuesday.
Works for me.
Okay. All right, and also I attended the WGFOI conference, and just so you know, I was awarded a $3,000 scholarship to attend the national conference in 2027 in New Orleans. So I'll be taking some time off for that. No,
Congratulations.
I have to prove that I'm at class to get the scholarship. So, thank you, appreciate that. Attended the annual CIMMIC conference where we were presented up to date. This is all about insurance and changes in insurance, what insurance is looking like. So, and then I also had a board of directors meeting. They lumped those together, which is nice and not so, it depends. Because then I have to go on too nice, but it all works out. So that was all about insurance policies. That's all I got. Any questions in the?
Hey, for a motion to adjourn.
Make motion, second. Tim's motion.
Made by Tim, second by